It's All Things Considered, and I'm Dave Lawrence. Today we are continuing with our heavy metal holiday celebration, if you will, following up yesterday's appearance by vocalist Jeff Tate of Queensryche fame with another singer also associated with hard rock and heavy metal bands, Graham Bonnet, whose resume includes Rainbow, Alcatrazz, Michael Schenker Group. Among work spanning decades, he's just released his latest album, The Book, 2 CD set with a disc of new music backed with new interpretations of classic songs from his legacy, which goes way beyond his well-known hard rocking side, and Graham joins us now. Thank you so much for taking time for us, Graham.
You're very welcome.
The Book, what a catchy bunch of tunes, too. Includes some ferocious guitar work. Conrado Pezzinato, am I pronouncing his name right?
Yeah, that's right.
Brazilian guitar player, and you've also got Jimmy Waldo from Alcatrazz. For people who are really fans of the hard rock side of your career, they'll be generously rewarded. It is a very hard rocking album, extremely prog rock sound. Another element of it is the keys. It really captures a retro sound associated with your career milestones.
It's very Alcatrazzy or rainbowish. It's got that vibe. I think what's happened is he's brought in that retro sound, as you're saying.
I was hoping to explore some of your musical roots. Prior to, at 21, having a hit with the Marbles, what was it that drew you to music as a child?
I think it was my family. My mom used to sing at parties and things like that. My brother was a singer. He was in the church choir. And my uncles all played instruments, trumpets, and singing in harmony. My mom was a great influence on me, and of course my dad was thrilled that his wife and I would sing at Christmas in harmony and do little party songs and stuff. And my cousin Trevor Gordon, who was the other member of the Marbles, we were a duo. There were two of us, and we were called the British Righteous Brothers back then. This is 1968, a long time ago. I always sang since I was 5 or 6 years old. I used to listen to the radio. One of my favorite singers was Mario Lanza. He was on the radio all the time in England because he had hit records. He made movies, and he was an opera singer and was kind of snubbed by the operatic society because he was making commercial movies. But to me, he was one of the greatest opera singers I've ever heard. And so I would listen to this stuff and go around the house trying to mimic his style of singing. And my mom and dad used to laugh. And, Graham, God, your voice is loud. And so if I could make my mom and dad laugh or enjoy what I was doing, I was proud of myself. And they encouraged me from the word go.
And from a Cub Scouts gig at 7 in church singing Paul Anka, which goes into what you're talking about, you end up, you're playing this gig with your cousin Trevor. Discuss how he ended up playing a big role in your life and that connection to the Bee Gees, how it worked out.
Yeah, well, Trevor was, when he was 13, he had a musical career over in Australia, and so did they, the Bee Gees. They grew up together, they went to school together, and Trevor played lead guitar on a lot of the Bee Gees' very early tracks. And that's how I got into the business, really, was through my cousin inviting me along in London to meet up with Barry Gibb and Robin and Morris. We went over there and we had our guitars and we sat around singing Beach Boys songs and Stevie Wonder songs or whatever came into our heads, and Beatles tunes, obviously. So Trevor gave me a big break because when Trevor went to see Barry and Robin and Morris, they wanted to record just with Trevor. Trevor said to them, my cousin sings also, can I bring him over? And so I went over like the next day to meet up with Barry and Robert Stigwood, and who was their manager, at Barry's place, and started singing away with the guitar. And Stigwood comes into the room and said, I think these two boys should make a record, Barry. What do you think? Do you have a song for them? But Barry had a song, he had a melody like Next Day, and we went into the studio and did a la-la version of what was to become Only One Woman, our first song. Trevor and I as the Marbles.
It's an incredible story. It connects to the diversity that people may, from Rainbow, certainly, which was perhaps your most well-known work, people might associate you with and with your new record, for that matter, associate you with really hard-rocking stuff. But the truth is, your roots have given you a lot of diversity, and your first solo album, to me, Graham, is a mind-blowing adventure. This is prior to Rainbow. It's after the Marbles. It's 77. Shirelles, Will You Love Me Tomorrow? Dylan, which was the single. It's All Over Baby Blue. Al Green, David Bowie, It Ain't Easy, Hall & Oates, Good Night and Good Morning with orchestration, Elvis, Johnny Cash on there.
I'm a singer, I like to sing, and I like to sing different things, and back then I wasn't. Now I'm kind of limited. You've got to, if you're called a heavy rock singer, you're in that drawer forever. You're in that one little space. So you're a heavy rock singer, you're a heavy metal singer, whatever it may be. And that's not really me. I'm a singer, period. And I sing everything. I love Al Green stuff. I love R&B. I love old pop songs. Just different kinds of music. And what I'd like to do is, again, an album like that with my band, but also make a heavy rock album too, but have an album that isn't in one particular style. And that is what I'm all about. You know, I'm a musician. I'm not a guy who wears the uniform of a heavy rock singer.
Well, that's a perfect lead-in to probably maybe the greatest question anybody who's been a fan of yours for so many decades would have. When you talk about you don't wear the uniform of a typical rock singer, if one was to see you, whether it's from the cover of your first record, whether it was Singing with Rainbow, with Alcatrazz, throughout the years, you've always dressed so smartly, sometimes with a tie, a nice shirt. You look so presentable. You could be on your way to do a speech before politicians in Parliament. What has influenced or informed the style which you have so meticulously maintained through the years?
I love 1950s, that era. It was when my brother grew up, and my brother was my hero, my brother Tony. And he was a teddy boy. They called him teddy boys in England back then, the rockabilly kind of look, swept-back hair and the GT and all that. And I always wanted to look like my brother. I've got a photograph of him on the wall in the kitchen here in that era. And my brother, I lost him just over a year ago, and he was 74 years old, and it was Alzheimer's that took him, but he was my hero. And I've written a song for him, which is probably going to go on a new album somewhere, which was heartbreaking to write. It was the hardest song I've ever written. But I love the streets, you know, the doo-wop guys, the Platters, all that music from the 1950s, Buddy Holly, is what I grew up on because my brother Tony would play that stuff. He'd bring something home every weekend when he finished work and say, listen to this, what do you think of this? Oh, yeah, what is that? Oh, this is Fats Domino. The vocal harmony groups, all that kind of thing. And the style, it was crossing over from being a teenager to an adult. Sometimes they wear Levi's with a suit jacket, like Jimmy Dean came on, James Dean, and Marlon Brando with the T-shirt and the jeans, and suddenly there was a new look. And I kind of glommed onto that a little bit. I thought, oh, yeah, I want to look like that. That's cool. So I had suits made in London that were made exactly in the 1950s style, and even down to shirts where the cuffs on the shirt were exactly the same measurement as they would use back in 1950 whatever. I was being as authentic as I could.
It does make you stand out. You're not like some cookie-cutter singer like a lot of people in these bands. You have your own look. One final question. The record is nice because it also includes an extra CD filled with re-recordings of classic songs that you've been associated with. And I was going to play one from your catalog that got on the radio when I was just a little kid all night long. Share a story from the recording of that in the original era, or maybe just something from working with Rainbow that sticks out.
I remember we recorded quite a few tracks, and Richie came into the studio one night when I finished singing, and he picked up his acoustic, started playing something. He said to me, do you remember that song by Chris Farlowe? I said, what song is that? It's called Out of Time. Baby, 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 you're out of time. I said, oh, yeah. He said, well, I've got this riff, and he played da-da-da-da-da, and I thought, well, Smoke on the Water, isn't it? I said, no, wait a minute. That was Smoke on the Water. Let me play it again. So he played it again, and I said, oh, okay. And he said, well, think about that song, that Chris Farlowe song. It was written by Mick Jagger and Keith Richards. He said, well, think of a verse that's around that same kind of melody and then take it where you may. So it was based on an old Rolling Stones tune. It eventually turned into All Night Long, and Roger came along with some sort of tongue-in-cheek lyrics. And I love it. I love that song. It's f***ing great.
And features the late, great Cozy Powell on drums, too.
He was like my brother, that guy, you know. He interpreted the song the way it should be. There aren't many drummers that do this, but this drummer, Cozy, listened to the song. He played the song. He didn't play tons of rips and fills or whatever and say, look at me, look at me, look at me. He listened to the song and he made the song better. He's dear to my heart and always will be. I miss him terribly. I play with drummers now and they say, I can play like Cozy Powell. Can you?
I love that.
He's the best.
Graham Bonnet, legendary voice of Rainbow, Alcatrazz, with Michael Schenker, so many sidemen. I could talk to you all day, but I respect you got a lot of these you got to get to. The album is The Book, and I hope you had fun talking.
Nice questions. I did. Thank you very much, Dave. That was fantastic, yeah. Aloha, this is Graham Bonnet from Rainbow, Alcatrazz, and the Michael Schenker Group. Right now you listen to me with my friend, Dave Lawrence. Thank you, Dave.